Okay, hello, good afternoon. My name is João, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there, and I really have to thank Giordano for presenting this video there. It's research we did around TumTá and Pisada, that are two-foot controlled digital dance and music instrument inspired by popular Brazilian traditions. TumTá is this instrument, and Pisada is this one, and here's a short video of Elder Vasconcelos explaining what the instruments are.
A gente acabou batizando esse instrumento de TumTá e é um sensor que a gente usa dentro do sapato, né? Então onde eu vou, o instrumento está comigo, ele está no sapato. Esses quadradinhos aqui, os tapetes, são é o instrumento que a gente está chamando de pisada. Como o próprio nome diz, numa pisada que eu dou nele, ele vai disparar esse sinal MIDI, que no caso a gente está usando no momento mais para mudar timbres, mudar camadas, mudar textura. Ele é um botão.
Elder Vasconcelos is a musician, dancer and actor from Recife, with background in popular traditions from Cavalo Marinho and Maracatu, and he had an idea of an instrument that could fuse his dance and music together. That is a thing that he already did in his solos. And he searched for the Mustique group that we are part of, and we already had experience in research and development of new interfaces for musical expression. It started in 2012. And here is a more artistic video from Elder so you can understand what the instruments actually are.
Música, dança e teatro, eles não são três coisas diferentes. Partem de um mesmo impulso.
So as you can see, the pisada he stepped on changed the sound that TumTá triggers. So it's just changing the layers, putting new layers of sound banks. There could be many pisadas where each one changes the sound bank. You can program one to just continually change like how he's using. He's using it with Ableton Live samplers. And this research and development led to my master's research, and we published a paper around the concept of digital dance and music instruments that you can find it here. It was at NIME in Porto Alegre this year that we presented. And Elder's motivation was from the Cavalo Marinho dance, that is very rhythmic as you see in the video, and asking himself what if he actually made some sound of that musical dance. And he thought of that sound, since its rhythm is of baião, as like the sound of zabumba. Here, what Cavalo Marinho and the zabumba are. Look how musical the dance is. And we, in this research, try to move away from a bias, an aesthetic bias, of following aesthetic principles from European hegemonic cultures, of both classical or contemporary, and we were based on grassroots popular Brazilian traditions used in the contemporary context too. TumTá was made simply with the Arduino platform, with handmade sensors, and the first prototype was actually a Nintendo Wii tied to his leg. But it had a too big latency, so we did a second prototype with Arduino, with a simple pressure sensor, but it broke the first time he used on his foot. It was low latency, but it wasn't rough enough. So we did a DIY version of it that was rougher, but it also broke in the first month. And then we used conductive thread on conductive foam, and it showed to be much more rugged, much more stable, and he could use it in his show. And as you can see, the technology evolved from building blocks, and it evolved using digital fabrication. You can see that the wires, we have less wires as we evolved the technology, because it was also always had problems with bad contact or Wi-Fi interference. We had to buy a stronger transmitter so we didn't lose packets. We noticed that artisanal sensor with low sensitivity, was so rough, with so much noise that needed to be very hardly pressed, was a problem because the instrument didn't feel intimate. It always was a hard thing to press on it, to play it. And also a problem that we found, because it was to be used in performance, the need for a computer restricts a lot the places where he could perform. We needed a more portable solution for it. And we realized that if we're designing a digital dance and music instrument, as well as having a low latency like any DMI, it needs to be extra rugged, sweat-proof, wireless, with strong connections that you can move away from the bass, and that are specific qualities that most of the wearable DDMI may share. And the Pisada is basically many metal plates with LEDs, 10 of them connected to an Arduino Mega that is actually a USB device. And also you can change the pages, so you can have 100 MIDI messages from the 10 buttons, from the 10 Pisadas. And the problem was that it was too heavy. So how can we think of technology that is rugged for dance but as well as easy to transport? This is an important thing to do when you're designing a DDMI that's going to be fixed on stage. And also the long cables is a problem, because you can't step on the cables, otherwise it won't last any time, or you can trip on it. And it made it also very expensive, because long cables are expensive. And also the same thing, if we just started with the MIDI protocol, it would be a lot easier. We first started with serial, and it had many problems as well. And future work, it's interesting to design tools to develop new DDMI, like those common problems that we saw in wearable DDMIs, or in the DDMIs fixed on stage that need to be rough. Everything we can design technology, methods, or processes that can help people that want to make instruments to be expressed in music and dance at the same time. And also improving TumTá and Pisada in everything that we see that it needs to improve. And there's a link here to the video on YouTube. If you look for Elder Vasconcelos YouTube, you'll find the whole video. There's more of him dancing with TumTá and Pisada. And that's it. Thank you very much. Any questions now you can ask to Giordano. Sorry for presenting it in such a rush. And anyone can write me an email. It's tragtenberg@gmail.com. Thank you very much.